Hello and welcome to episode 293 of the Casual Tryhard podcast. I'm Brian,
And I'm James.
and today we're talking about spooky, scary skeletons and all the other limited archetypes in Duskborn.
Yeah, we're going to break them all down, the color pairs, talk about the signposts, and get ready for our set review next week. So if there's
Yeah,
any cards that you guys want to hear about, you want to make sure we touch on, get at us. Let us know what those cards are.
yeah, you can get at us on social media. All those links are in the description. We got Facebook, Discord, the artist formerly known as Twitter, email if you're feeling like old but still technologically advanced.
Yeah.
Uh, all those things. Carrier pigeon, we're still waiting on that one.
Well, it'd be hard to get you a carrier pigeon.
We would be able to tell it where I was.
Right.
I'd just be in a different hotel room.
Yeah, so you'd have to send one. You can send me a carrier pigeon if you want.
There you go. There you go.
I'll put a roost
Best
up on
beard,
the front of
best
my...
beard at Myrtle Beach.
That's right.
And it just come to you.
I'll put a roost out in front of my house so it's got a place to park.
There you go.
Yeah.
But
Park
reach
that
out to us,
carrier
let
pigeon.
us know. Yeah, I think we have some cards that we're gonna talk about for sure. But if there's any that you want us to touch on, let us know.
Yeah, I always like hearing from you guys because I have the opportunity to look at cards that I wouldn't have otherwise looked at. So, and that's one of my favorite things to do is evaluate cards. So get at us.
Yeah.
If you want to support the show, there's a couple ways you can do it. The first is with our TCG player affiliate link, CasualTryHard.com/TCG. Follow that link to TCG player. Important you do that first. After you do that, anything you purchase, as long as you got the TCG player via that link, will help to support the show. We'll get a little commission out of whatever you purchase. Doesn't increase your price at all. You still pay the same low price for all your singles, and you support us at the same time. Helps us out, and we would appreciate it. If you want to support us more directly, patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG is where you can do that. Sign up, you can chip a couple bucks in, you get access to our show notes, so you get a sneak peek about what the upcoming week's episode is going to be about. There's also sometimes things in the show notes that don't exactly translate to the show, so if you want to look inside my brain and see what stuff didn't quite make it to the show, sometimes that's in there as well. You also get our unshow. Every week we spend about an hour catching up, making sure all our equipment works, talking about how life goes. Sometimes there's magic stuff in there, sometimes there's not, but it's completely unedited, unscripted, everything, so we just call it the unshow. Like I said, it's about another hour-ish of content out of us every week. If you want to hear that, or if you want to look at the show notes, or if you just want to support the show that you love listening to every week, patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG. Chip in.
Yeah. All right, so we've got limited archetypes.
Mm-hmm.
We have, so they've, as we've seen with previous sets, like recently, kind of really started with maybe Modern Horizons 3.
It was before that. I remember that there's been a few sets where we had a couple signposts instead of just one.
Yeah,
I think
they do
Kamigawa had
okay, maybe.
a couple.
I don't remember. But like you have like an uncommon and a common or two uncommons that are gold to like really like solidify what the archetype is. And so we have most of the two cards. We have a couple that are just one.
Yep.
But for most of them we have both cards. So we're going to kind of work through those and give you an idea of what the archetypes are.
Absolutely.
And yeah, see what we think. So first up is Uwu, blue-white. So this is Eerie Tempo. If you remember last week, we talked about the mechanics. So Eerie is like constellation, but for, what's it called? But for rooms. So we have...
Constellation with rooms, not constellation instead of enchantments.
Yeah, constellation including rooms.
Right.
So you have Inquisitive Glimmer, which is blue-white for a enchantment creature, Fox Glimmer. It is a 2/3. Enchantment spells you cast cost one less to cast, and unlock costs you pay cost 1 less.
Hmm.
So remember, unlock is once the room is on the battlefield, that second mana cost that you would pay
Right.
on the other half is the unlock cost. So, I mean, if you think about what was his Jukai Naturalist,
Hmm.
the it was a green white 2/2 with lifelink
Yep.
that had like the same like enchantment spells cost 1 less. That was very good and constructed.
Hmm.
And I feel like in Kamigawa there was more of a um it had more types going on. There were artifacts, there were enchantments, and then this feels like it's like almost like old school Theros, where it's like, hey, like 70% of these cards are enchantments.
There's a decent chunk of artifacts too, isn't there?
Maybe it doesn't feel like. I guess there are in like the red white archetype. I guess there's like the toys archetype as well.
Well, I just meant because Delirium's an archetype, like there kind of has to be
Yeah, I
artifacts.
don't. It at least in my head, maybe I'm wrong. It feels like there are more like this. If you're in blue white, you're gonna have a ton of enchantments
Sure.
to like really take advantage of this. So like this could be like on turn 2, just like a blue white 2/3 mana dork in your limited deck,
Yeah. Yeah, there's
and like
there's quite a few artifacts.
okay, but like you would play blue white
Yeah.
tap add a mana,
Yep.
which this is better than that.
Right. Yep.
So like if
Absolutely.
you have blue and white to cast it, you have presumably all of your colors in your limited deck.
Yeah. Um
So
just real quick, you mentioned that you compared this to Jukai Naturalist and that
hmm
that was a player in constructed formats.
hmm
Um I don't know the like the difference between Jukai Naturalist and this card is the blue, right? You're trading
yes,
green for blue. And in in this kind of deck, at least as far as constructed goes, I think like that almost breaks the comparison because like a green white deck, just picture a generic green white deck in your head and like that you would play at an event. And then
hmm
picture a blue white deck that you would play in an event, and they're two very different decks.
they are.
And like being enchantment themed, I don't think crosses over between like the hardcore control deck that blue white typically wants to be and the more, mid-rangey value deck that white green wants to be.
hmm Fair, fair, but like just like a card like this was good enough for constructed,
Oh yeah, yeah.
right? So like, if you're like, is this a powerful effect?
Mm-hmm.
It was an effect powerful enough that it like held together
Oh sure.
a like it made like a green white deck that was like meh when it didn't have it into like, oh, I'm just getting like rolled right now
Yeah.
because like they just played 6 mana worth of spells on turn 3 for
Right.
3 mana. So,
Um the other thing is that like maybe the other I haven't really looked super hard at this card file yet. I just pulled out the signpost because we were going to talk about them. But this is listed as a tempo deck. Like the archetype is
mhm.
eerie tempo. Maybe there's enough tempo-y cards that this can lean a little bit away from being, a true control deck and be more tempo-y that this card wants to
Mhm.
be.
Yeah, I can see that. But like I think and like being a 2/3, that extra point of toughness like
Mm-hmm.
often like really matters.
Yep.
So like this card's probably gonna be pretty good.
Um, this also in the little blurb that I pulled off of
Mhm.
Maro's article where he talked about it was weird that Maro did these archetypes this time. That's not something that he typically does, I don't think.
Maybe they fired the person who normally writes them.
Yeah, maybe. Couldn't find an intern. All the interns
Exactly.
were already chained to different desks. But he did the last sentence of his blurb did say this deck is a fast to medium speed deck.
Okay.
So definitely not control.
hmm
But we do have a second signpost for this color,
Okay.
and that is Gremlin Tamer. Blue white for a 2/2 human scout. with the Eerie ability. And whenever an enchantment you control enters, and whenever you fully unlock a room, create a 1/1 red gremlin creature token.
Okay. These are both uncommon, so both the signposts are uncommons.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Um, I mean, like getting free creatures is always good,
Mm-hmm.
and this isn't limited to once per turn.
Right.
So like you could play Gremlin Tamer, then play our Glimmer Fox from previously,
Mm-hmm.
get a thing, and then get the cost reduction to play like one more enchantment and get 2/1/1s on your third turn and like really kind of like go go wide and put a lot of power on the board really fast.
Yeah. Um, do we have how many effects that are like what's the name of that card from Theros that made it was enchantment ETB made 2/1/1s?
Oh, there's Omen of the Sun, which
Yeah,
was the
yeah,
Theros Beyond Death one.
yeah. That's the one I was thinking of. Are there any other cards like that? Because I mean, this is like you could end up super wide
Oh yeah.
with this,
I
that,
don't
and like a flicker effect.
I don't know if there are any other like enchantments that do.
Where's my magic thesaurus?
I'm I'm currently looking for type line enchantment text token and seeing what comes up.
Oh, so that's actually interesting as well. Um, was it caretakers, whatever?
Caretaker's talent.
Yeah, just draw all the cards.
That only triggers once each turn though.
Well, sure, but like, I mean, how many extra cards do you need in order to stay fed?
Yeah, I mean, again, like Gremlin Tamer into Caretaker's talent is like make a 1/1 draw card.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's like workable. Um, there's Bat Colony if you have caves
Yeah.
in standard. I should probably limit this to standard, but
Well,
Builder's Talent makes an 0/4.
mm-hmm.
So I think there's a few things. They've I mean, it's three colors, but this into Fable.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's good.
You get like 3 power.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be fair, anything in the
Right.
Fable
Yeah.
usually wins you the game. 2-drop in the Fable is usually GG,
Yeah.
but
Be just guy. I like that. What about if you were Bant and you played oh, what was that card from Kaldheim? That like
I
entered,
just
made a
looked at.
1/1, and then you put a bunch of counters on it, and then you drew a card.
Well, there was I just had it was like there was like Brea's something. The Battle for Bredegard. There's make a 1/1 white human, then make a 1/1 elf, and then choose them any number of artifact token or creature tokens you control with different names, and for each of them make a copy.
Yeah, that's not the one I was thinking of. It was like the first games.
Oh, it's the that's from Theros. It's like the it's like I know when you get like
Make a
it ends with a
1/1. You put
gold
three
token.
Yeah, you put 3 counters on it, and then you draw cards, and then then you get a
Then you make
gold
a
or
gold
something.
token. The Crowing Games,
Yeah, that's the one.
I think is what it was.
But if you were
Uh,
like this into that, or this into the previous card into that.
I mean, there's so many. There's Jugan defends the temple, makes a 1/1,
Mm-hmm.
and then puts counters on it, and then flips into a thing. Uh, yeah, there's plenty of
It
ways.
just seems like you could make so many tokens.
Yeah, and just be like, all right, like I have this like army now. I think we're good.
Yeah.
Now I'm trying to see, is it uh the you need something that just like kind of makes an enchantment every turn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's not something that just like pumps out an enchantment.
I don't think so. The rolls are enchantments.
Yeah. Okay. It's the first. The first Iroan games.
Okay.
Yeah, like spellbook vendor.
Yeah.
Like, does it pay one or two to make a roll each turn,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have a new thing to put the roll on each turn?
Yep.
Yeah. So if you could, yeah, like there are some things. So like again, like I don't know. I haven't looked at. See, I haven't looked up Towerfire closely. Like, is there like a trumpet blast or like
Oh, I'm sure there's
there's
a trumpet blast.
there's always like we've gotten like inspired charge with upside
There's
like in the
the
last two
adventure.
sets.
There's the adventure creature that like gives everything a bonus and haste, and then it enters or whatever.
Oh yeah.
The
It's oh gosh,
Imadane's recruiter.
Imitates Recruiter.
Yeah.
I was thinking for like limited,
Oh, I
right?
gotcha.
Like we got like oh gosh, like the in Murders of Carl of Man it was +2/+1 investigate
Yeah.
if they were still alive somehow.
Yeah.
And then in Bloomborough, it was like +2/+1 and like Scry 2 if you controlled a rabbit,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's gonna be like, give something like +2/+1, and then if you control an enchantment, like do something,
Mm-hmm.
make a 1/1 gremlin.
Yeah. I don't. Well, you said we have ethereal armor, right?
We do.
I mean, that only wants enchantments. That doesn't care about the tokens.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't see anything else that.
It's like super like, oh hey.
Yeah, like a trumpet blast or whatever.
Yet. We still have a
Yeah.
little bit of time.
Yep. All right. Well, let's hit up the next archetype.
Okay.
The next one is blue black. This is eerie control. So the first one was eerie tempo. So it wanted to put some pressure on, as you saw in those signposts. It let you cheat on mana and then make an army. These are going to be control related. The first signpost we have here is Fear of Infinity. 1 blue black for a 2/2 enchantment creature nightmare with flying and lifelink. It also can't block, and it has eerie. Whenever an enchantment you control enters, and whenever you fully unlock a room, you may return Fear of Infinity from your graveyard to your hand. So, kind of incremental advantage over time. Definitely wants to play a long game, kind of leaning into that control strategy.
Yeah, the problem is since it can't block,
Right, so you're
how
never
are you
going to
getting
trade
it
it
in the
off.
graveyard?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Unless you can
normally,
discard
like,
it.
yeah, maybe, but like normally these things are good because like you block,
Yeah.
then you get to bring it back. I mean, it's like play is 3 mana to play it, and then like if it could block, kill a 3/2,
Right.
then play an enchantment, then spend 3 more mana to play it.
Yeah.
So I guess like the lifelink kind of lets it like keep you alive
Mm-hmm.
by like gaining you life. But yeah, it's kind of awkward since it can't block because like that's usually like where these creatures shine is like play it, trade it off, and then like on turn 7 like get it back
Yeah.
or like finally play it again.
Well, right, but you're not really jumping through hoops here.
Yeah, fair.
Like if you remember how Constellation played, you triggered it just by playing Magic. Like you didn't have to go out of your way to make it happen. And I think there's enough enchantments in this set that you also won't have to make it happen. Like just playing the game is going to trigger Eerie. So, like if it could block, I think you'd just end up with limited games going to time because you like it's effortless to loop this thing once you get to like
Fair.
the later turns in the game.
Yeah, and like I guess Lord help us if you have 2.
Right. They just trigger each other.
Yeah, and you just
Forever.
Yeah, fair. All right. What's the next card?
The second card for this archetype is Skull Snap Nuisance. This is blue-black for a 1/4 insect skeleton. It's kind of a cute little guy. It has flying, And whenever an enchantment you control enters, and whenever you fully unlock a room, surveil one.
I guess the dream is that you like surveil the last card, the Fear
Yeah.
of Infinity, into the graveyard.
Yep. And then you get it back.
So for the enchantment archetypes, is there like one non-enchantment and one enchantment?
Oh, I don't know.
Because
Maybe.
like for both of them, there's been right. There's the blue-white enchantment guy, then the
Yeah.
non-enchantment, then the blue-black enchantment guy, and the non-enchantment.
Could be.
I mean, so if you had like 10 enchantments in your limited deck, and then this then just tax Surveil 1 on like half the cards in your deck,
Right.
right? That's great.
Absolutely.
So, like, this is one of those cards that like you will not realize it, but it will beat you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not like overtly powerful, but like your opponent getting to like smooth out like their draws, or like keep a 3-lander in an enchantment.
Yeah.
And they play this on 2, then they play an enchantment so they can hit their 4th land, or like have a higher chance to hit their 4th land.
Well, I mean, Surveil is especially powerful in this set because there's graveyard shenanigans too.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think this is gonna be like really powerful. Wasn't there something in, oh gosh, Guilds of Ravnica that was like, oh no, I guess it was the blue black thing is whenever you surveilled, it did a thing.
Yeah, I got it.
But
Demir Spybug, I think, got a counter.
Yeah, I feel like there was something that like whenever you attacked or something, it surveilled.
Yeah, I think.
Was it like that? It was like a blue like fairy or something.
Yeah.
That, like when you attacked or when you hit.
Yep.
And like that was like really powerful to like fix draws, and like there are definitely games that you were like, I am losing this stupid like 1/2 flyer or whatever it was because
Yep.
they've like thrown 3 lands in their graveyard.
I
Like,
think that was a
what's going on
2-drop
here?
as well.
Yeah. So like this can be good. Like if you like have enough enchantments around it to like trigger it like 2 or 3 times, like you're like really ahead.
Yeah, God forbid we get a disinformation campaign.
We just had one with the Cowboys, right?
Was it the Cowboys or was it Murders?
I thought it was the Cowboys.
Maybe it was Cowboys.
It like didn't have the draw on it or something, or didn't have the discard. It was like kind of powered down disinformation campaign, which
Yeah.
like fine, probably needed a powered down disinformation campaign.
Mm-hmm.
But again, Thesaurus.
That's right.
would be great. Yeah, I think it's whenever you committed a crime, it did the thing.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Again, not that it's our job, but it's kind of a side hustle, and like we can't get intimidation campaign.
Yep, that's what it was.
Yeah, like just looping something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they'd give us that again, but never know.
Probably not.
Probably
So
not. Right.
this is going to be a control deck. Like both of these cards want to play a super long game. They want to beat you on turn 20. So this is going to be a slow archetype.
And like this is also a 1/4.
Yes.
Like, it's just like summon block.
Right. 2 mana
Like, just
block for 3 turns.
Exactly. It's just, hold their 2 drop off for as long as humanly possible.
Yep.
Or insect bug or insect skeleton possible. As long as insect skeleton possible.
Yep.
See, I told you spooky, scary skeletons.
Spooky, scary skeletons.
All right, so we have they've never done this archetype before. It's really interesting. It's red black sacrifice.
Wow.
Yeah, so even Mara's like the red black archetype in Duskborn treads in familiar space for red black.
Yeah. Imagine
It
that.
creates a lot of resources and then uses them as sacrifice fodder to strengthen creatures and spells. So, and it's good for the horror set.
Yep.
And so we have Disturbing Mirth, which is black-red for an enchantment. When it enters, you may sacrifice another enchantment or creature. If you do, draw 2 cards. So, like, that's just, like, good.
Yep.
Right? Like, we've played that card as a sorcery at different times.
Yep.
But we played that card as a spell,
Right.
right? Not as an enchantment. Usually an instant, but like, so this is Deadly Dispute, Village Rites, or I guess it's kind of
Costly
the
plunder.
yeah, the proto Village Rites,
Yep.
right? And then when you sacrifice Disturbing Mirth, manifest Dread. So like if you have another way to eat this enchantment,
Hmm.
you get a 2/2.
Yeah, it's like both sides of the coin. It lets you sacrifice something to enable, or it is the outlet to sacrifice something, and then becomes food for whatever your next sacrifice
The next
outlet
thing.
is. Yep,
I
seems pretty
mean,
good.
if the archetype is good,
Yep.
then this will be good. I think that
It's a little slow. Like typically sacrifice tends to be like an aggro deck, and like
Mhm.
this feels slow to me.
And they also say this deck is a medium to slow deck.
Okay then. It's a medium to
Is
slow deck.
um but what kind of what makes the sacrifice deck is both the rarity and the cost
Hmm.
of the threaten effect
Hmm.
of the thing that lets you steal a creature.
Yeah.
Like that is usually what kind of does it. So let me see here. I think they spoiled it. I feel like it's 3 mana. Uh, yes. So it is Vengeful Possession. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap it. It gains haste. You may discard a card if you do draw a card.
Okay.
So it's a 3 mana. Uh, what's it? A 3 mana threaten, but it's an uncommon,
No.
right? Because like usually what you want to do is like threaten their creature and then
Sacrifice it to something.
sacrifice it. So like when the threatens it common, you can get 2 or 3 of them and like kind of turn those into your removal spells.
Right.
And I guess it also matters if one of those creatures is if there's like a creature or a permanent that is like a sacrifice outlet for like no mana,
Hmm.
like a witch's oven,
Yeah.
right? So if you have something like that that eats the thing, so then it's not so bad to spend 3 mana on the threaten and then be like, well, then I can just tap my creature that sacrifices for like a small effect because I just wanted to like use it as a removal spell.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see. But like usually when the threatens it uncommon, it makes it rough.
Yeah. Makes it tough for the deck to come together.
Yeah, because like I don't know, it feels weird. Like it feels like we have seen what happens when like the threatens it uncommon,
Hmm.
and it's usually that the deck doesn't come together or
Right.
like it isn't very good. So like it seems like they just don't want to turn that knob. Maybe you're in this weird spot that at uncommon it's not good enough, and at common
It's
there's
too
just too
good.
many of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so there's like no way to make it work.
Yeah. Well, we have a second signpost for this color.
Okay.
It's Sawblade Skin Ripper. 1 black-red for a 3/2 human assassin with Manache. And you can pay 2, sacrifice another creature or enchantment to put a +1/+1 counter on Sawblade Skin Ripper. And at the beginning of your end step, if you sacrificed 1 or more permanents this turn, Sawblade Skin Ripper deals that much damage to any target. Okay.
Okay.
So it's
So
like in the vein of Mayhem Devil, but instead of building up a bunch of triggers on the stack, it happens at the end of the turn.
yeah, which I think makes it worse.
Oh, it definitely makes it worse.
Which is good because we
Yeah.
don't need like another Mayhem Devil
This
to
is
make
more of
it
a utility
less.
knife though, because it has menace, so like that's a
Mm-hmm.
plus. And also is a sacrifice outlet.
Mm-hmm. It does a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if it had like Mayhem Devil's ability, even if it was only for like stuff you sacrificed,
Yeah.
and the other 2 things, it'd just be way too good.
Oh yeah.
So like letting it like kind of save up,
Mhm.
like you only get to dome one thing, right? Like instead of killing their 2/1 and then dealing them 2 damage, you just deal 3 damage to their 2/1.
Right.
Right? Like it's way better for the person on the other side, on the receiving end.
No, definitely.
But like it seems like a good beater, and it's like you said, it is like self-contained, right? It
Yep.
sacrifices things, it pays you off for sacrificing them. Again, like being 2 mana like makes it really hard with like uh vengeful possession. Like that's 5 mana to take a thing and then sack it.
Yeah, it also curves nicely with the last guy, though. You
Mm-hmm.
play the last thing, then you play this, and then the next turn you can sacrifice that and something else, and you know what I mean? Put 2 counters
Yeah,
on
deal
this.
two.
Yeah.
Get a 2/2.
Yep.
Well, you kind of get the thing you want to sacrifice, right? Because like
Mm-hmm.
the enchantment turns into the next piece of sacrifice fodder.
Sure. Yeah, if that's like if you hit a land or something and the 2/2 is not valuable.
Yeah, you can just keep it moving.
Yep.
Or if you need to deal 2 damage to something,
Yep.
like they have some like rare that's an X2, you're just like gotta get rid of that. So just
Mm-hmm.
sacrifice or manifest dread.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see if it comes together as like a deck or like I feel like we've had like black red decks that were supposed to do other things and they just like become like aggro decks.
Yeah.
Think about like Adventures in the Forgotten Realms.
Yeah.
Supposed to be like treasures matter and it was just like beatdown matters.
Well, that's
Right?
all that
Yeah,
really matters anyway.
this is true. But like a 3/2 menace just also just is like I don't care about the rest of my text.
Right.
Beatdowns.
Yep.
And then every so often you're gonna sacrifice something for some other reason and be like, oh, I get to dome you for one,
Yeah.
or I get to take out a blocker. Neat. Oh yeah, gosh, could you imagine like if you could do it like Mayhem Devil, they could just never ever have 2 blockers.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that'd be gross.
Yeah, it's just like pay 2, kill your thing, put a counter on this. Now you can't block.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, I'm just dead to this now.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's how it started, and they were just like, oh my god, I can never block this.
All right. Moving on. We are into green red. This archetype is Delirium Stompy. Imagine that. Green red is a Stompy archetype. It says we use cheap creatures, many of which are artifacts and enchantments, to enable Delirium. You're going to trade them off. That's what kind of makes it a Stompy deck and will fuel Delirium towards the late game. It says this is a fast deck. So as opposed to Sacrifice that was kind of mid-rangey, medium, slow, this is going to be a fast deck.
I mean,
Go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, this card kind of screams fast deck.
No, sure. Yeah, this is Wildfire Wickerfolk. Green-red for a 3/2 artifact creature Scarecrow with haste, and it gets +1/+1 and has trample as long as there are 4 more card types among cards in your graveyard. Yeah, this is an aggro beater for sure. 2 mana, 3/2 haste with no text is an aggro beater for sure. And then like randomly it's going to be a 4/3 trampler.
In like the late game or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, maybe
Yeah,
not
I
even a
mean-
late game.
I mean, there's enough artifact creatures and enchantment creatures. Like one of those goes into your graveyard, and then you just like play a sorcery or something. Like you're almost there. It wouldn't be hard to just be like, you know, especially with Manifest Dread. You're like you play
Right.
this, and there's like a common. I think maybe it's an uncommon. It's like 2 and a green, like mill some card, like Manifest Dread, or like mill some cards and then return a permanent from your graveyard. It's like, oh, like you've probably
There's
Delirium on
a
turn
green
3.
card that's called Manifest Dread that's just 2 mana Manifest Dread.
Okay.
It's like a sorcery
like,
or something.
Like, you know, if you hit like another one of these or something and you're just like, okay, well, I have 3 types. I just need like one more thing.
Yeah.
Like on turn 4, it wouldn't be hard for this to be a 4/3.
Did they spoil lands yet? Do we have like an Evolving Wilds or something?
I've not seen the lands. So I'm gonna say no. But I'm not 100% sure.
We got the rare lands, the common lands. We have Terramorphic Expanse.
Okay.
So
there you go.
turn that Delirium on.
Yeah, so I don't think it's gonna be like super hard to find to like get Delirium.
Yep.
Like I feel like in like a deck like this, it seems like you want to be doing that as like
Organically.
you're organically or like you're on the side, right?
Yeah.
You're like doing beatdowns and then you're like, oh, I cast a thing that milled 2 cards,
Right.
or you know, and oh, I got Delirium that way,
Yeah, you're not
as
like
opposed to
turbo
like,
trying to get Delirium to turn on your
yeah,
Dragon Rage channel or early or something. You're just
yeah.
kind of organically going to
This
get
is
there.
more like, you could see this being like an attack that maybe gets like to trade off to be 2 types
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Yeah, definitely.
That this card also screams like have 2 drops in your deck so your opponent just doesn't dome you for like put you on the back
Definitely.
foot on turn 2. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like this card's gonna win a lot of games on the play
Mm-hmm.
where you like hit them for 3, and then the next turn you attack, and they're like, if I block, they probably have a trick. But if I don't block, I'm at 14, and they just play some other ridiculous idiot.
Right.
So like it just puts them in a bad spot. Like it just seems like a way to put someone on the back foot quick.
For sure.
All right,
Unfortunately, green red is one of the ones we only have one signpost for currently. So moving on.
moving on. All right, so we have green white survival. And so this is uses the survival mechanic, the whole like if the creature is tapped at the beginning of your second or your post combat main phase,
Mm-hmm.
do a thing. Is it second main phase now? Is what they call it, or post combat? I
I
forget. They
think it's
changed the
yeah,
wording.
whatever they changed it to.
Yeah, your first post combat main phase, or I think it's like
Yeah.
you get a thing. Uh, so if you can find other ways to tap your creatures, like uh, paying costs such as crew, you
Mm-hmm.
still get the survival ability.
Yep.
And this is a medium to slow deck.
Okay.
So we have baseball bat, which like we already had baseball bat. It was called Lucille.
Lucille.
Um, this is green white for an equipment. When baseball bat enters, attach it to target creature you control. Equipped creature gets +1/+1, and when equipped creature attacks, tap up to 1 target creature. Has equip cost of 3.
So this is going to let you hopefully get into combat with a creature with the survival ability so that it's tapped.
Mm-hmm.
And then also potentially either tap down a blocker or tap down another one of your creatures with survival.
Yeah, like you hope that like the +1/+1 like makes your thing a little too big to block.
Yeah.
So then, like the ideal situation, like you have 2 survival creatures.
Yep.
One's too big for them to profitably block, and then you use this one to tap the other one.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh hey,
Yep.
I'm like, I'm getting in for a lot. And the fact that it equips when it comes in is a big deal because like equip cost of 3 is pretty rough.
Yeah.
So getting that first equip for free is good.
So I'm going to make a claim real early, right now, before
Okay.
even looking at the other card, before looking at the card file. This archetype is going to be bad.
You think?
I do.
I kind of agree. Like, so on one hand, it could be like I don't understand how they say that it's a medium to slow deck because your cards kind of don't do anything unless you turn them sideways.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like
Exactly.
exert,
Well, we,
right?
we
Where like
talked about
exert.
this when we did the mechanics. Remember,
Yeah.
I asked your opinions on how we thought the format was going to be, and I think we both said that this was going to be an aggro mechanic because you had to turn your guys sideways in order for it to happen.
But I feel like some of the like lower rarity survival creatures, a lot of them have like low toughness,
Yeah,
right? So like they're just built to like trade.
yeah,
So you could very well be 100% right, where it's just like the creatures aren't good enough to survive. Like if your entire deck is full of vanilla or French vanilla creatures that have no other text,
right.
you probably lose a big portion of the time.
Well, so like the other clue is that Morrow wrote these little blurbs.
Okay.
Like he's the designer guy. So if he's saying these cards were designed for this to be a medium to slow deck, and it reads, you have to attack for the thing to happen. Spoiler alert, you're not a medium to slow deck. You're a stompy deck, or you're an aggro deck.
Yeah. We wanted it to be an aggro deck, but then we made the cards and we found out it was medium to slow. You lost. You
Yeah.
lost it to in a medium to slow fashion.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. Like this just doesn't seem great. Like it feels like it gives your opponent too much agency.
Definitely.
Right? Like they get to look at your card
Yep.
and go like, do I want this ability to happen
Right.
at the end of combat? And they oftentimes can just say no and just pile things on. And like, if the ability is minimal, it doesn't matter. They can just go like, okay, I'm not gonna block. I don't care about this happening.
Right.
So,
All right. So we got another signpost here.
all right.
This is Shrewd Storyteller. 1 green white for a 3/3. It has survival. At the beginning of your second main phase, if Shrewd Storyteller is tapped, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature.
This seems. I looked at it and got excited for a second. I was like, I thought it was gonna say on each of your creatures.
Yeah, no.
This does not seem like we've gotten this ability for like just sitting there.
Now you got to
And like
put
this
extra
has
work
to like attack.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems worrisome
Yep.
that this is going to be good.
Yep.
So I don't like. I guess until like green white kills you a few times, maybe like pump the brakes.
I agree. I would not start this format by drafting green white,
I don't know if you'd start any format by drafting green white, but
especially this one.
especially this one.
Yep. All right, next
All right.
archetype.
Black white reanimator.
Ooh.
So the black white archetype is focused on reanimation. Thank you, Morrow. This deck stalls the opponent in the early to mid game, and then gets giant creatures into the graveyard, which it reanimates to win the game. The deck is slow. So we have Rite of the Moth. It's 1 white, black, black for a sorcery. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. And it has flashback for 3 white, white, black.
Okay. So this is close to Unburial Rites.
Unburial Rites, or what was there was the green black one.
That had flashback?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it like costs less for each thing that died.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is those that put a finality counter on things,
Right.
Because that didn't exist. But like, this is often like just a 2-for-1. This set does have the advantage over some of the sets that had those cards in them. There are multiple land cyclers. There's a bunch of 2-mana land cyclers. So like, cycle your like whatever 6/6 idiot to go get a swamp, and then on turn 4 bring it back.
Yep.
And it can hold down the fort for you as you like kill things and cycle other idiots to bring back later. So I mean, seems interesting. Seems like it could be good.
Sure.
Like this is the kind of thing that like I always feel smart when I get to do the like cycle the thing and bring it back.
Yeah.
Like that feels good.
Yeah, there's other ways to fill your yard in this set too. We've seen a couple surveil cards, and when you manifest dread, the other card goes to the graveyard too, right?
It does, yeah.
So there's other baked in ways in this set to put stuff in the graveyard, and that's also like secretly kind of the hard part for these in limited is getting the cards in the bin. But since they're baked in, maybe it'll be a little bit easier this time around.
Yeah. Also, like the fact this has flashback, milling it isn't the end of the world.
Right.
right? Like you're almost happy.
Yeah, we saw that
Like,
with, was it Can't Stay Away?
yes,
Yep.
they've printed a lot of these, like
They sure have.
reanimate, like give the thing flashback.
Yeah. All right. Only one card for this archetype. So moving on
Okay.
to the next one is Blue Red Rooms. Leans the furthest into the room subtype as opposed to the other archetypes that focus more on enchantments in general. This is a medium to slow deck. I've never played with a room, so I don't know what a room deck is supposed to look like. I guess we'll find out.
I mean, the fact that one of these two cards is not named like the rug
Yeah.
because it really ties the room together, like infuriating,
I know.
infuriating.
But
Or
this
like
card
maybe
is
a black card that is like the rug peer.
yeah.
Okay, continue on.
All
I'm
right.
done now.
Man, make a whole movie about it.
You could.
This is Intruding Soul Rager. Blue red for a 2/2 spirit with vigilance, and you can tap, sacrifice a room, and it deals 2 damage to each opponent, and you draw a card.
Like if like
That kind of
if
seems
there's a
at odds with rooms, though.
you see, yeah, because like most of the rooms have some sort of static effect.
Well, they're also like a mana sink. Like you're gonna invest
Mm-hmm.
all that money into a room just to sack it.
I mean, yeah, it doesn't make sense. Like,
Yeah,
and the rooms don't feel aggro.
right.
Like,
Well, they're
I
not
guess like
aggro. It says that this is a slow deck.
yeah, but like do 2 damage to each opponent is like reach to finish someone off
It's true.
when you've dealt like 16 or 14 damage through combat,
Yeah,
and then
you
you
played your
played this
tempo game,
thing.
you played your aggro game, and then you finish it.
Yeah, and then you play this thing and you like throw a few rooms that you had like played
Mm-hmm.
at them to like win the game at the end. But like if it's a slow deck, like 2 damage in a card for like hopefully whatever like reasonable advantage the room gives you
Yeah.
doesn't seem great.
So if this didn't say sacrifice a room and said like sacrifice a permanent,
An enchant
yeah, whatever,
permanent.
or yeah, maybe an enchantment's better. Would this be a better card? Sacrifice an enchantment, it deals 2 damage to each opponent, draw a card.
Yeah, just because like you have more flexibility, right? You're not like limited to like the room
Sure,
subtype.
I agree. I'm making the card more flexible, but like, is it a card that you would play? Like, is this rate a 2 mana 2/2 with vigilance? Sacrifice tap, sacrifice an enchantment, deal 2 damage to each opponent, draw a card. Like, is that a playable card?
Mm,
Being a
maybe I guess
signpost, is it something that is going to draw you into a color war?
no, no, I don't think so.
Sorry, I had to lead you there. That's kind of my
That's
point,
fine.
though, is that like I don't think even if you forget about the room synergies, I'm not sure this card is powerful enough to tie an archetype together.
Yeah, to justify.
Yeah. The only thing that I was thinking is that this might let you play off-color rooms. Like
Where you can like
you play like the
cast the
cheap half
red
of a
side,
room.
but not the green side.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And then you can sack the other half away after it did whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, like at ETB did a thing. Now it doesn't. Like when the room doesn't give you a static advantage,
Right.
right? Then like throwing it seems fine.
Yeah.
Like came and gave you a token. Okay, now I'll throw the room for 2 in a card.
Yeah.
Seems fine. But yeah, like I would not be excited to be like, oh yes, we're doing rooms, baby.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look at a room. Oh, I should have turned this. Let me see if
It's
I
all
can do
right.
that real quick.
We have Smoky Lounge
There we go.
and Misty Saloon. So Smoky Lounge is the red side. It's 2 in a red. At the beginning of your first main phase, add a red. Spend this mana only to cast room spells and unlock rooms. And then Misty Lounge is 3 and a red. When
3
you
and a blue.
unlock this room, 3 and a blue. I'm sorry. When you unlock this unlock this door, create an XX blue spirit creature token with flying, where X is the number of unlocked doors among rooms you control. Um, this is awful,
Yeah, it's not great. It also
right? It
like kind of plays well with the previous card, but also plays poorly with the previous card. Because like if you cast the Salon, sure, it's just sitting around not doing anything, and you can sack it away. But I don't know that you would ever cast the second part. Like if you're playing a rooms deck, you only ever want the first part, right?
the
Yeah,
smoky lounge.
yeah.
I was thinking that the smoking lounge is like almost unplayable,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Like if the I don't believe Morrow on his like because a lot of these are like this is a medium to slow deck. This is right, fine, but like if there's a fast deck, which there's always a fast deck because they've taken every 2 drop and cut a mana off of it, made it a 1 drop in the last 2 years, and they've taken every 3 drop and cut a mana off of it, made it two.
Yeah.
Right, your turn 3 is pay 3 mana, hope to God you don't die.
Hmm.
Like you just die, right? Like
Yeah, I don't know. My thought was like if you're playing a room deck, like if you're playing a dedicated room deck, some of those rooms that we looked at the other day in the unshow were like expensive.
true.
So if you could go 3 drop into 6 drop, like that's kind of big game.
It is. I'm just thinking, like, I guess you'd have to have a lot of rooms. I'm just thinking about like the way that like modern limited has gone
Hmm.
recently. Like they are the Carson special of like 1, 2, 3 dead.
Right. That's magic how it should be.
Yes. And if you go like if you're playing a rooms deck and you're like, I'm in for a slow game, and you're like play like a gold 2/2 on two,
Yeah.
and then you're like 3 mana, I'll get 2 mana next turn. Right? That room that you have in your hand for 6 better catch you up in a big way.
Yeah.
Because your opponent's just gonna run you down. So that's like my like main concern with it. And like you can't play Misty Salon on 4,
No,
right? Because
well,
then it,
that was the other part of my point is that like at what point in the game are you going to pay 4 mana? Like how many rooms do you have to have unlocked? Like not just
on the
in play but
battlefield.
unlocked. How many rooms do you have to have in order to make a 4 mana flyer like good? Like
Uh,
3?
is it a flyer?
Yeah, it's a flyer.
I was gonna say like, I think like it's maybe a 4 mana 3/3 flyer. So like better.
Phantom monster.
Yeah, it's Phantom Monster. Like that's not even better Phantom
No.
Monster. I was thinking there's like a 4 mana 3/2, but yeah, Phantom Monster is a better. Like I feel like you have to have 4 rooms unlocked to feel
Right.
like you're like ahead,
And
right?
that's
Because
like
like a 4 mana 4/4 flyer is like this kind of rate for 2024,
yeah.
and like that seems like a lot of work when you can probably just find a 4 mana like 4/4 flyer at
Like,
uncommon.
that's my point. Is like I don't think you ever cast the second half of this. If you want this card, it's for the first part, so you can play your Shattered Yard at the beginning of your end step. This room deals 1 damage to each opponent. Oh, that's awful. Why would you want to do that? You're gonna pay
Yeah,
5 mana for that?
there's Charred Fourier,
That's a
which is four
mythic.
mana. Yeah, it's a mythic. Yeah, like there. Yeah, it just doesn't seem like the the juice is not worth the squeeze.
Yeah, I agree.
Like it just seems like you're gonna like play this and just get rolled
Yep.
because
Yep.
like you would never play sorry, two in a red, get 2 mana next turn. That is like limited, right? Like you can't cast a creature with it. You gotta
Yeah.
like cast a room that like gives you a blocker.
Yeah.
Which what is this guy here?
they they call that the blocker room.
A blocker room.
It's filled with sweaty jock straps.
uh There's oh no, yeah, like I guess like glass works is fine. It
Yeah.
deals 4 to a creature. So like that can kind of keep you alive.
There's a 1 mana blue room also, bottomless pool. The bounce is
Okay.
a thing.
Okay.
But
So maybe,
red
but
doesn't
like
cast that either, so.
no.
Oh, that is lock. The other half of that is locker room.
There you go. They you smelled it through the door and mounts the creature.
Yep.
It's like, oh, what's that smell? And then went away. Yeah, so I am less enthusiastic about blue red
Yep.
than I am about green white.
Me too. So let's move on.
Okay.
Black green.
All right.
This is the Delirium Grind.
Oh.
If I
Okay.
play a standard deck during this season, it is going to be called Delirium Grind.
There you go.
It's a great name for a deck.
We'll take it to Atlanta.
Sure.
Delirium Grind Atlanta.
Obviously, our black green archetype is Delirium. It wants to get lots of different card types in the graveyard, and then use its graveyard as a resource to win. This is a slow deck, according to Morrow, which makes sense. Delirium Grind and all. Our first signpost here. Oh, we only have one signpost for this one. Or no, we have two. We have two. We found the other one. This is Drag to the Roots. 2 green-black for an instant. Delirium. This spell costs 2 less to cast as long as there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard. And destroy target non-land permanent. Holy moly.
I mean, like 2 green black for that effect is kind of rate.
Seems above rate.
I
Like,
mean, it's
Assassin's Trophy
in there.
has downside. Abrupt Decay has downside.
No, but like 2 green black.
Oh,
like for
4 mana. Yeah.
At 4 mana, it's rate.
Sure.
There was the same card, but like cost less if you gain life.
Mhm.
A few sets back. Like this, if the format is slow enough for like a 4 mana removal spell to matter, like this is just a fine card. It works without Delirium, and I think that is like the hallmark of like Delirium cards being like playable. Is does your card have text if you don't have Delirium? And this has like reasonable text.
Yeah. I do want to point out though that Delirium has historically been easier to get than I think we have given it credit for. So.
And like the last time we had Delirium in like a standard set, was that Clearback and Innistrad?
Yeah, I think so. Shadows.
Yeah, Shadows. And like they had the vessels,
Yeah.
but like they didn't have a bunch of
Enchantment creatures
and artifact creatures that are going to give you 2 types.
Right.
Right. So it's be like way easier to like play, let's say its name, mill 3 things, and like grab a land and put like an enchantment creature, a sorcery, and like another land in your graveyard and just have Delirium on turn 2.
Yep.
Right. That's going to be like way easier to do because you're going to have so many double typed cards.
Sure.
But like where Delirium cards kind of fall flat, or like was it Undergrowth? When the graveyard mechanics struggle is like when the cards don't have text unless you've hit whatever like
threshold
thing that matters.
Yeah.
Threshold or Delirium or whatever. Yeah. Right. This just always has text.
Right.
It's like, is the text reasonable or great? Versus like existent or non-existent. So like this is like a good sign that like you could just play a game and get Delirium on and then like double spell on turn 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Or 7 or 8 or whatever.
Yep, I agree. So then the other one we have is Brood Spinner. This is black-green for a 2/3 spider with reach. When it enters, surveil 2. Helps you fill the bin. And you can pay 4 green-black, tap it and sacrifice it. Create a number of 1/1 black and green insect creature tokens with flying equal to the number of card types in your graveyard.
No, it's card types.
Yep.
So realistically, this is probably limited to like 5.
Sure. I mean, I think if you're, I
Is
guess 6.
room a type?
No, room's
No,
a
right?
subtype.
That's what I thought. So like creature, enchantment, artifact, land, instant, sorcery. So like 6 is like the most reasonable. You're never gonna get like you can't ever plan on Planeswalker,
Right.
and we don't have
Battles.
what battles or
Tribal.
yeah or whatever it is now kindred,
Yeah.
right? So we have see like probably 5 or 6 is probably most reasonable.
Yep.
I mean, getting like 4 or 5 4 or
Flyers.
4 or 5 1/1 flyers is probably pretty good.
Yeah, at an 8 mana investment, though.
Yeah, I mean it is a 2/3, so it can kind of hold down the ground
Yeah.
at least for a little bit. And like I'm thinking like in the late game, like block
Chump
and
block and then
then tap
sacrifice it.
sack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean 8 mana is a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been interesting if it was more like spider spawning, where like you could tap sack it or exile it from your graveyard, like do
Yeah.
both.
Oh, yeah.
Like then, or like tap sack or like tap exile it, do the thing, or exile it from your graveyard, so you couldn't like do it twice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, seems like and this is like a reasonably costed thing,
Hmm.
right? It is the modern 2 mana 2/3
Yep.
with reach, like it keeps you alive.
Yep.
So like it seems reasonable. Like again, it like has text when it's not doing the thing.
Hmm. Helps you do the thing.
Yeah. All right. Next up we have white red aggro power 2 or less. So it's an aggro deck. Plays a lot of small creatures and takes advantage of effects that specifically care about creatures with power 2 or less. This is unsurprisingly a fast deck. So this is, I think they like tried to make it sound fancier. This is just red white go wide. This is like red white tokens
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times when you
to some
go
degree.
wide's the archetype, you're playing a lot of creatures with power 2 or less by default.
Yeah, just like yeah, exactly. So we have is it Arabella,
Hmm.
Abandoned Doll, which again I can't think of what horror like doll this is, but like
Annabelle?
maybe it's Annabelle. Yeah. It's red white for a 1/3 legendary artifact creature toy. And when Arabelle the Abandoned Doll attacks, it deals X damage to each opponent, where X, and you gain X life, where X is the number of creatures you control with power 2 or less. So, like, one drop into this, into like some sort of token maker,
Yeah.
and just like dome them
Oh, yeah.
seems really good.
Yeah. Really good.
I mean, this is for Drac. Like I could see like this would be like a fun like PDH like red white go wide commander,
Absolutely.
right? You just get to like play this and then like again make some things and like attack, or God forbid give it haste.
Yeah.
Like just like play it, haste it up, attack.
Get in there.
Just be like take 6 or 7 or something, and then like, oh, you killed it. Okay, we'll do it again next turn and kill
Sure.
you.
Yeah, I mean, this is especially good in multiplayer formats because X is the. Or no, I guess it's not damage. So X is just the number of creatures. Never mind.
Yeah, yeah, because it deals X damage to each opponent and you gain X
Yeah.
life.
So the X's are the same.
Yeah.
Yep.
But still, like, you like attack with this and you deal 18 to the table,
Mhm.
like 6 to each person is still like
Brutal.
you're doing good work.
Yeah.
So maybe I've got my Titania deck that I haven't looked at in forever. Maybe I'll put together a red white
All right, the other.
Trumpet blast as far as the eye can see,
That's right. Trumpet blast for everybody.
and rally the peasants.
Yeah. So the other signpost in this set is Midnight Mayhem. 2 red white for a sorcery. Create 3/1/1 red gremlin creature tokens. Gremlins you control gain menace, lifelink, and haste until end of turn.
Okay. It's like somewhere in between like Scurry of Gremlins and uh oh gosh, I was just looking at it.
Heroic
The
reinforcements.
heroic reinforcements. There we go. Yeah. Um, where you're getting 3 instead of 2, but you're not getting +1/+1 to your team.
Right.
But they also get uh,
Menace, lifelink, haste.
menace.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, can you like if there are other ways to make gremlins? There's the blue white eerie card, but like that seems like you're too far afield
Yeah.
of this. But like anything that's giving you extra gremlins, and then you get to give them all menace. Because
Mm-hmm.
it's not just the gremlins that you make from this, it's all of your things.
Right.
So I think that like this could be like like you're going to win a bunch of games where your opponent feels like they have you covered.
Yeah.
Like they have enough blockers, and then you play this and just win.
There's a couple other gremlins. Well, there's one other gremlin, and then there's 2 gremlin makers.
Okay.
The gremlin tamer we talked about earlier, and Razorkin Horde Caller. Whenever you attack, make a 1/1 gremlin.
Okay.
So
Like it seems like you'll have like a couple other gremlins laying around.
maybe. All right,
These effects have proven themselves to be powerful in the past.
they have.
So
Yep. That the one was good. The energy one was good in Modern Horizons. Our last limited archetype, blue green,
blue green.
Manifest Dread. Takes advantage of the Manifest Dread mechanic, makes a lot of face down 2/2s, some of which grow into larger, nastier monsters. This is a medium deck.
Okay.
Just medium.
Just the stone mediums.
Yep. The first signpost we have is Growing Dread. Green blue for an enchantment with flash. When it enters Manifest Dread, whenever you turn a permanent face up, put a +1/+1 counter on it. It's Mega Dread.
Mega Dread.
They should have called it Mega Dread.
It's a flash 2/2.
It is.
Right, like at its base level, it's a flash 2/2.
2/2 flash 2/2 is good. That like potentially drew you a card.
Oh yeah, like put something that you could get like flashback or one it in your graveyard.
Well, I just meant like it might be more than just a 2/2.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean that could become a 3/3, like could give you a +1/+1 counter.
Yeah.
I think it's fine,
yeah.
right? Like you would play like a flash 2/2 isn't as good as it used to be.
Right.
But like a flash 2/2 is still fine.
What if you manifested that guy I was talking about in the unshow, the 3-mana 5/5?
Oh, then you do it, right?
Yeah, then you're doing the thing.
I'll pay 3 and flip this over and get a 6/6.
And a 2/2 every turn?
Yeah. Attack for 6 in the air, thank you.
Yep.
I guess that is also the trick is like it's a good thing to put on the battlefield face down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but this seems fine.
Yeah, I think this is a fine card. It's an enchantment for your eerie shenanigans.
Mm-hmm.
Value.
Yeah. And then what's our next one? Do we have? Oh, here we go.
Oblivious Bookworm. Green and blue for a 2/3 human wizard. At the beginning of your end step, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. Unless a permanent entered the battlefield face down under your control this turn, or you turned a permanent face up this turn. That's weird. So it's loot unless you manifested, and then it's just draw a
Yeah.
card.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird though.
It's the way it's worded. Just
Yeah.
like it feels like draw a card. Okay. Yeah, it just feels worded oddly.
Yeah.
But I mean, so this is kind of a merfolk looter
Mm-hmm.
that you get to activate the first turn it comes on the battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just draws you a card if you play face down things.
It does.
If it makes it to the end to your end step.
You also don't have to tap it to do the thing, so you could,
Mhm.
like, if you got a
Attack with
clear
it.
battlefield, you could get in there.
Yeah, I mean, a merfolk looter that you get to activate on the first turn, like again, this is a card that incentivizes you to like keep a two lander
Yeah.
and like get an extra look.
Yep.
So I'm fine with this.
Yeah. I don't like. I get that it kind of supports the manifest dread mechanic, but I also like this could
Does
have.
it? It also doesn't.
Right. It also doesn't.
Yeah, it just feels
A super mid
like
payoff.
yeah, super mid. Like drawing cards is good, but it's like drawing cards with like extra steps.
Yeah.
It also requires you to play at sorcery speed,
Right.
right? So like the other thing is a flash 2/2,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't use it as a flash 2/2 if you have this out and you want to be paid off.
Right.
Like the two uncommons don't work together.
Right. Well, I guess you could manifest it and then turn it up your next turn, and it would do the thing.
Yeah, fair. But I guess you kind of could get two bites of the apple where you like put it face down
Mm-hmm.
and then trigger this, and then on your next turn flip it up,
Yeah.
trigger it again. But still, like that's asking to get both sides. You'd have to like play at sorcery speed both times,
Yep.
which is a little awkward.
Yep.
I noticed I was like leaning back and slowly sliding out of frame.
That's all right. We're at the end of the show, so
We're at the end. I can just slide out of frame here. It seems fine. Like blue green has had a problem with being fidgety,
yeah.
and this feels
Fidgety.
fidgety.
Yeah.
But again, like this is like the third or maybe fourth, like 2 mana 2/3.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's just like a lot of things that are gonna bounce
Yeah. Maybe that
or
slows the
like
format down
block.
then.
Yeah, or like block reasonably well.
Yeah.
So that's what I was gonna say. Maybe it slows things down. But like what I think has happened a lot is like once there's identified like there's a fast deck that's like good and got any kind of like staying power,
Everybody piles on.
like yeah, like you play the fun slow deck and then like because you're playing like out of pod constantly
Right.
on arena, which is good for getting games and whatever. But like you could just run into like three of the like red white aggro deck
Mm-hmm.
and like is my deck bad or is it just that like I ran into like the same nightmare matchup 3 games in a row
Yeah.
and you just kind of go like I don't know, that wasn't very fun.
Yeah.
I guess I should draft the red white deck.
They call that
like
self-perpetuating.
yeah, then halfway through the format it kind of like fixes and you're like the red white deck's bad now because 3 people are trying to draft it in every pod, I guess.
Yeah.
Blue green mediums is now on the menu.
Buckle in, boys. Get ready for
Buckle
blue
in.
green mid.
Blue green medium, let's go.
Yeah.
Um,
So I got a question for you.
okay.
In talking about all these archetypes, it seems like there is a lot of overlap between them.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that there's going to be possibilities for like 3-color decks in this?
First, it goes back to the question of is there like a good fast deck or like 2 good fast decks
Mm-hmm.
that like push that stuff out? But we do have, you said what, Terramorphic Expanse.
Yep.
Plus, we have a set of common dual lands.
We do.
And usually, when you have the set of common dual lands, you are more incentivized to play like 3-color decks.
Yeah.
Right? Think about outlaws. Like outlaws kind of sometimes turn into like some like multicolor soup decks
Yep.
because you had all the fixing you needed.
Hmm.
Um, so
Like a lot of these archetypes play well with Delirium. Like
mhm,
the Eerie decks are going to play well with Delirium.
mhm,
The Sacrifice decks are going to play well with the Eerie decks.
yeah,
It just kind of like the Reanimator is going to play well with Delirium. It just kind of seems like there's a lot of overlap there where there's potential for
like salty
yeah,
nonsense kind of decks,
yeah.
or uh like some sort of Esper Reanimator control-y
Hmm.
stuff.
Yep,
Yeah, or I guess Abzan Delirium Reanimator.
sure. Jund
Yeah,
value.
I like I think I would rather play in a format like that than some of the formats that are super fast.
Yeah.
Um, just because like I feel like one those games sometimes get more interesting, though, you know, there's the there's the other side of the spectrum where like then it becomes really dependent on what you open in your draft,
Right.
right? Like because like Keldheim, I remember like there'd just be like I would have like a 6 or a 7 out of 10 like 5-color snow pile, and then it's like your opponent's just like had 3 of the like bear that went and got a land and put it onto the battlefield,
Yeah.
and you're just like, oh my god, their deck is just like laying the cards out in front of you.
Hmm.
Like you could have just taken the decks at the beginning and flipped them over and been like, oh, this deck is way better than this deck. It doesn't matter how well you play.
Right.
If we both play Magic, I win. It's like, okay.
Yep.
But like, I kind of would rather like play those kind of games or like it be in that kind of format because I think it makes the draft more interesting.
Sure, absolutely. And that's my favorite part is the draft.
Because like I like Bloomborough. Like my win rate's not like phenomenal or anything, but like I like it. But like I feel like all of my decks, like when you look at the curve, they all look the same.
Yeah.
It's
Well, they
like
had to.
a couple 1-drops, and then it's just like 10 to 12 2-drops.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have 10 or 10 to 12, like 2-mana plays, you just get rolled, and it's like you're allowed like 1 5-drop
Hmm.
and maybe 2 if it's really good, but you're just like you're like it's like you're very focused on like I've got to take twos, I've got to take twos, I've got to so like you don't get to do like the fun thing a lot of times because you're very much focused on making sure you don't like die to like lizards or rabbits in the early game.
Right.
So like getting able to like try to like put together some like nonsense or like a format where like taking a dual land like like oh man like Sultai is really good. I'm going to take this blue green dual
Hmm.
because I'm going to try to get into that deck like third pick.
Yeah.
Like then that's interesting. You're like, oh, I take a black thing, then I took a green thing. It's like I want to take this blue green land because like I've got to get the blue cards or whatever. Or the like that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Be a little bit different.
Well, we'll have to see how it shakes out.
We'll have to. All right. So with that, I think we got a show.
We got a show.
So if you want to say hey, reach out, give us some show ideas, tell us what cards you want us to talk about next week. You can do that by reaching out to us on social media, Facebook, Discord, Twitter, email. All those links and stuff are in the description, so check it out. Say
Yep.
hey.
Hit us up. If you want to support the show, there's 2 ways you can do it. The first is with our TCG player affiliate link, casualtryhard.com/TCG. Surf on over, shop, support the show at the same time. We think that's awesome. If you want to support us more directly, patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG. You can chip a couple bucks in, sign up to be a patron. You get access to the show notes. You get access to the unshow, about another hour-ish of content out of us every week. And you get to support us, which is also awesome. Patreon.com/CasualTryHardMTG.
All right. So with that, we'll catch you on the internet.
We'll catch you on the internet.
Yeah.